Hello everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the imperfect tense or el tiempo imperfecto. So let's start first, before we get into any of this that I have here, let's start by talking what exactly the imperfect tense is. So I'm gonna zoom out here. So the imperfect tense is used generally when we're talking about something that we used to do or that was an usual activity. So something that you used to do in the past, or something like a past action that got interrupted. So as you can see, in general, the imperfect tense is a form of past tense. It's just kind of a special kind of past tense. So in English, you might say something like, I used to talk, or something like, I was talking when she arrived. And these in Spanish would be equivalent to the use of the imperfect tense. And today we're going to be talking about how to use this tense in Spanish, how to form it. It's actually used in Spanish pretty frequently as a form of past tense. So you'll see it a lot when you're reading or hearing songs or in general reading articles about anything in Spanish. The way to form the imperfect tense will change according to whether you're talking about AR, ER, or IR verbs. And our example verbs to illustrate this conjugation, the conjugation of imperfect verbs are going to be the verbs viajar, or to travel. The verb is, one second there. The verb escoger, as in picking what channel or TV show to watch in this case, and escribir, for to write. So viajar, to travel, escoger, to pick or to choose, and escribir, to write. So let's take a look at how we would form the imperfect tense for the verb viajar. I'm just going to write over with black so that it's a little bit easier to see here. But, okay, so to start the conjugation, we're going to start the way that we start most conjugations, and that is we're going to get rid of the AR ending, so you end up with viaj, and we're going to add the appropriate ending. So let's take a look. So here you go. So what we did was we dropped the AR ending, and now we've added the appropriate endings to each of our AR to each of the forms of the AR verb that we have as an example, which is viajar, to travel. So you have yo viajaba. Again, you added aba. Tú viajabas. Usted viajaba. Él o ella viajaba. Nosotros o nosotras viajábamos. Ustedes viajaban. Ellos o ellas viajaban. And that's the ending. So you can do this again for any regular AR verb and form the imperfect tense this way. And so this would translate to the idea of I used to travel, you used to travel, you used to travel, he or she used to travel, and so on and so forth. Now let's take a look at our ER and IR verbs, because the conjugation to form the imperfect tense with these verbs is going to be a little bit different. So let's take a look. We'll start by looking at our second verb here, the verb escoger, or to pick. So again, we're going to start first by dropping that ER ending, and now let's add the appropriate endings. So now we've done it, we have it right here, and now let's look at the endings that we added. So again, we got rid of that ER ending from the verb escoger, and then we added the following endings. Ia, ias, ia, íamos, ian, to give us the phrases yo escogía, tú escogías, usted escogía, él o ella escogía, nosotros, nosotras escogíamos, ustedes escogían, ellos escogían, ellas escogían. Now, the same endings are going to be used to form the imperfect tense with IR verbs. So let's take a look at this. So again, the first step that we did in order to get all the conjugations for our IR verbs was to get rid of that IR ending, and then we added the following endings instead. We have, again, the ia, just like here, ias, ia, ia, íamos, ian, ian. Notice that they are exactly the same as the ones we use for our ER verb, escoger, to pick. We just add it to our IR verb, and we have our imperfect tense conjugation. So we have yo escribía, tú escribías, usted escribía, él escribía, or ella escribía, nosotros escribíamos, nosotras escribíamos, ustedes escribían, ellos escribían, ellas escribían. And so this would give you the meaning of they used to write. So I used to write. Yo escribía. Or I was writing when something happened. It could also be that idea of an interrupted action. And that's all you need to know in order to form the imperfect tense. As usual, I'm going to give you some examples here below so you can practice your conjugations. And remember that this does not include conjugations for the irregular verbs. This is what you will use with all AR, ER, or IR regular verbs in Spanish. So here is your homework, your assigned homework for this time, or some verbs that you can practice with so that you can become better and better at using the imperfect tense. A lot of the times with forming these kind of conjugations, at first it takes a lot of effort to remember everything because, I mean, right now you are straight up trying to memorize endings and they're quite abstract, right? Aba, abas, aba, ia, ias, and where are the accents and all these things. But I promise you, the more you practice it, the more it'll become second nature and the easier you will do it and you'll begin doing it without even thinking about it. So I've listed 10 different verbs here. I try to think of verbs and vocabulary that you would use when traveling, for instance. So for example, ordenar, here is it means to order. So when you're at a restaurant, you might order, your meals. Beber, to drink, comer, to eat. Preguntar, that's to ask a question, not to be confused with the English word pregnant, although that's a very common mistake. It's actually a really funny one, so don't confuse it with that. It means to ask a question. Divertirse, we talked about this before. It means to have fun. And again, it's a reflexive verb. So remember when you're doing this, take away the IR, conjugate as you would usually, and then just remember to include your reflexive pronoun between the subject pronoun and the verb. Then you have reír, which means to laugh, volar, which means to fly, visitar, which is to visit, and then I added un monumento, like a monument. Then you have servir, to serve, so when the waiter might come and serve your dinner for you. And dormir, to sleep, because that's always very important when you're traveling as well, to get a good rest. One thing to say about this is, remember, the verb dormir is one of those irregular verbs where when you're conjugating it in the present tense, the O in the stem, so this O here, will change to a UE, so it's an O to UE stem changing verb, but that's only in some cases, such as in the present tense. In this case, for the imperfect, you will not see that change, so don't change the stem when conjugating it in this case. Just leave it as it is and treat it like all the other regular verbs. Drop the IR and add the ending as with the other verbs. Okay, that is everything for today. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.